I'm in the process of making watermelon rind pickles. So don't throw any parts of your watermelon away because you can eat the rinds if you know how to pickle them. Welcome to Urban Prepping with Pam. I'm Pam. Thank you for joining me, and please hit the subscribe button below. And while you're at it, hit that little bell so that you'll be notified when I put up new videos. I have my canner on the burner back here, and in the canner, I'm heating it up now. I have my rack hooked onto the sides, and all my jars are just near the top. They're just hanging at the top of the rack, at the top of the pot. And then in this pot I have my rinds that have been rinsed, and then I put the rinds in a pan, covered them with water, and I'm going to bring that to a boil and time it for 10 minutes. At that time, then I'm going to rinse the rinds, put them back in the pan, and then we'll continue on with the recipe. So my jar's heating up because I'm going to be putting hot food in the jars. So I don't want the jars to crack. And then on the front burner here, what I did was I took my my watermelon rind and I rinsed them really well, put them in a pan, and then I covered them with water. I just put water in the pan just to cover. And now I'm bringing it to a boil, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil those rinds for 10 minutes. I have made watermelon rind pickles before, and I've tried different recipes, and I know what I like. But you know, you only do it, what, once a year? And so I don't remember how to do it. I have to look it up. So this comes from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. Okay. So that is a good place to get your recipes from. And they're calling for only cooking these rinds for 10 minutes before I add well, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse them. I'm going to like drain all the water. I'm going to rinse them again and then put them back in the pan, and then we start adding the ingredients for the pickles themselves. So when I'm ready for that step, I will be back. Well, I'm back. And I'm going to admit to you, I'm an idiot. I did not read through the whole recipe. I have made watermelon rinds before, and it never took 3 days. The recipe is telling me to make the brine and then add the watermelon rinds and then leave it in the refrigerator overnight again. And I just don't have 3 days to do it. I think I'm looking at some other approved recipes for watermelon rinds, and not all of them tell you to have this overnight period of marinating in the syrup. And I think the reason for it is they want you to marinate the pieces overnight before canning, just to make them more flavorful. These are going to be sitting on my shelves for many months, and they'll have plenty of time to marinate after canning. So I'm going to keep following the recipe, but I'm not going to put them in the refrigerator again overnight. I'm just going to go ahead and process them. And I should have read my recipe all the way through. I know better, but you know, hey, life is busy, and I have a lot of canning to do, and so I didn't. And the recipe looked good, and I just didn't read through the whole processing directions. The syrup that it calls for is 3 cups of vinegar and 3 cups of water. When I started pouring my vinegar, I saw, uh-oh, it's dark color. What is this? It was cider vinegar, which is perfectly fine, but I did check the label to make sure it was at 5% acidity, because when you're doing pickles or you're canning any low acid food in a vinegar solution, your vinegar has to be 5% acidity. And so I poured a little bit of the cider vinegar in, but then I went and got my white vinegar, and I finished up with that. So it's a little golden, but not terribly so, and that's fine. It'll probably give it a good taste, so I'm good with that. So this was 3 cups of vinegar and 3 cups of water. And to that, I'm going to add 9 cups of sugar. Yes, I said 9 cups. That is a lot. Okay, and then to that, it says to add, I'm going to turn this flame on while I'm talking, 6 cinnamon sticks. That's all I got left. It asks for 1 tablespoon of whole cloves, and I'm going to just add a little bit of something I want to add. I'm going to say like a half of a tablespoon of whole allspice because I like the flavor. And stir that up. I'm going to bring that to a boil, and when it's when the sugar's all dissolved, then I'll be back and we'll finish up with the canning process. The recipe also called for 1 lemon thinly sliced. Yeah, 9 cups sounds like a lot of sugar for this syrup, but you're not going to be eating the syrup, you're just going to be eating the rinds. It's not like you're going to be scooping out spoonfuls of syrup and eating it. A lot of that syrup will go down the drain. It's the watermelon rinds that you're after, not the syrup. The syrup just gives the rinds a nice flavor. There we go. So these pieces will go in. That looks delicious. And while I'm here, I want to show you the watermelon rinds. I had cooked them for 10 minutes. I don't know if you can see this. Maybe not. It's probably easier this way. They're somewhat translucent. They're a little bit soft and translucent. See? So, and they're warm. I did rinse them with cold water because I didn't want them to continue to cook. So, I'm going to get this syrup to a boil, and I think I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes just to get some of the flavors of the spices throughout the syrup, and then I'll be back. Okay, my syrup has been simmering for about 10 or 15 minutes. I didn't time it exactly. Long enough. And so now I'm going to add my watermelon rinds. The recipe says to cook your watermelon rinds for 1 hour. So I think I'll get a lid and I'll be back in an hour. Okay, these rinds have been cooking, simmering for an hour. Look at those, aren't those beautiful? And I'm just going to go ahead and leave these lemon peels in there. They look really wonderful. So, time to start filling our jars. I'm going to use a slotted spoon, fill these jars, and then pour the syrup on top. Or throughout the jar. But I'm going to I'm not going to fill these jars with a regular spoon because I don't want to fill it with liquid yet. I just want to get these rinds, and it's not going to make very much because these have, when you cook them, they get very soft, and so I'll be able to pack a lot in each jar. The recipe said to take a cinnamon stick and put one cinnamon stick in each jar. So when I find them, I will do that. There's another one. Well, I tell you, this just smells so wonderful. It's amazing. And not a problem putting these lemon rinds in because lemons are very acidic. The watermelon rinds are not really acidic. They're more like a vegetable. There will probably be syrup left over, and I'm going to keep it. This smells too good to throw away. I won't can with it again because I'm not sure that that's safe. But I will certainly put it in the refrigerator and make some refrigerator pickles with this brine. Or syrup, I should say, because it's sweet. It calls for 1/2 inch head space. And then I want to make sure I bubble it. If there are any air bubbles in here. Yeah, there are. I may need to add more syrup. Yeah. So when you bubble it and you see these air bubbles, the syrup level goes down a little bit. And I can tell you these are going to be a huge hit. They smell so good. And I know my husband could probably eat a jar at a time. So we're going to have to go out and buy another watermelon. I'm going to make some more of this. Okay, so bubbling it caused the level to go down a little bit, so we're going to top these off. I'm wiping the rims with vinegar. In case I spilled any of that syrup on the rims, I want to make sure that I get a good seal when I put my lids on. So I got to get that sugar off the rims. I've got my rings right here. And I'll put this in my canner. The recipe says to process for 10 minutes. However, other recipes say 15. I'm not comfortable with 10 minutes. I would feel better at 15 minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and process these for 15 minutes. Five minutes isn't going to change the texture of these rinds at all. They've been cooking for an hour. So an extra 5 minutes isn't going to make any difference. But I'll feel better. I will lower the basket. You want to make sure you've got at least 2 inches of water over the tops, which I do. And then I'll put this on. Now I won't start timing this until this comes to a full boil. And I know this is at a full boil when I see steam coming out. So I just removed my jars. Isn't that beautiful? And there you have it. We now have pickled watermelon rinds. Thank you for joining me, and please remember to push that subscribe button down below. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.